So we're going to talk about the differences between salt-based chemical feed versus organic-based feed for growing cannabis. Primarily, the plant doesn't know the difference in terms of how it's fed. So plants receive nutrition through the root system. Organically, they receive it through biological helpers, either being fungus, bacteria, mycorrhizae. With chemistry, it's more that they actually make it through the root membrane and they get up into the plant itself, and the plant utilizes that salt-based food. When I say salt-based food, most people aren't aware that chemical fertilizers are really rock mined from the earth, such as iron, and melted in a solution with a hydrochloric acid, and that is then bonded to a salt and evaporated. So they evaporate all the acid off, but they leave the iron impregnated in the salt. So when you make up a nutrient solution yourself, you're getting iron salts, manganese salts, nitrogen salts, potassium salts, and you're putting it into a container, and depending on how concentrated it is, means how many containers you have to put it in. So if it's a low concentration, it's a 1 part. If it's a stronger concentration where we have to separate the chemical components because we'll have a lockup, it's a 2 part. If we go to even a little bit higher specialization, it's a 3 part. But primarily, we're just separating the chemical components so they don't have a chemical lockup while they're in that concentrated form. The advantage of chemical nutrients is that they allow you to have exceptionally clean delivery through drip lines, through controllers. And so it allows us to use very sophisticated control systems that let us take concentrate tanks, which basically mean tanks of salt solution that's held at a higher than normal level. And as the water moves through that, through a siphon and a proportionator, it draws from that the levels needed and applies it to the plants at a perfectly delivered level. This allows you to replace a tremendous number of people with hoses and wands. So it's great for commercial agriculture. And the plants respond really well to salt-based delivery because one can tailor it through the refinement process to where the plant really has a very quick uptake of these components. The problem with salt-based plants in that same case is that as we feed them, they uptake quickly. When we water them without food, they also deload quickly. And so one has to be aware that when we're feeding salt-based plants on any kind of fertigation system, which means fertilizer through water, that you have to be very aware of the fertigation cycles, because if you water it too many times, you change the chemical properties within the soil itself, and the plant doesn't have the ability to then chemically function with the salts that it's used, and you end up having this leaching of the plant and a subsequent slowdown of the growth. So salt used correctly gives you very good rates. Salt used poorly gives us a worse growth rate. Organic gives us a very simple situation in the sense we only have to add water. We don't have to add a food to it, because organically means that we're taking minerals and humuses, soil materials, and we're adding it to the flower pot, and we're allowing biology to do the work to help us break that material down and feed the plant. In that case, we only have to use water. The advantage with organic-based growing is primarily what's coming out the bottom of the pot, meaning the exudate that leaches out of the bottom of the pot is organically based, so typically there's very little harm to the environment. Salt-based is the salts that you use to make the fertilizers leach out and they kill micro-life in the soil. We don't need the pot to be alive to deliver a salt-based feed. So a biological delivery is actually a living system, meaning if we would take this plant and look at the root ball through a microscope, we would see a tremendous amount of life occurring at the root zone, where we actually have this incredible relationship between organisms helping the plant to uptake food, and the plant then serves these microorganisms a sugar as a reward. And so organic garden is an exceptionally complex situation of a reciprocity where plants give something and they take something back. Salt-based is a direct delivery to the plant from the operator. So the two systems both grow very nice cannabis. I think that the organic-based growing is far better for the environment, not just in terms of what leaches out, but in the fact that we're not having to mine the chemicals from the earth to the same degree, and we're not having to use hydrochloric acid solutions to dissolve the rock, because at some point this hydrochloric acid is being expelled somewhere in the environment, and typically it's into a river. So salt-based companies in general a little more aggressive to the environment than organic-based, and I think that what you see with organic-based plants is a slower initial start to them, a slower growth period, but once they establish a more systematic, steady growth, because the plant starts to work with the biology and the biology with the plant, and it allows the plant to grow on the most, I say, stress-free. It's very difficult to organically overfeed a plant if we charge it correctly, meaning put the right amount of fertilizer pre-charge into the pot or the bed, and then biologically activate it, because the plant is going to drive the uptake. And so what we find is we have plants that are chemically driven, can give us greater yields, but at the end of the season we have far more pathogenic problems, meaning problems from bugs and problems from molds and rot. Organic plants, because they're using this symbiosis between the biology, the mineral, and the plant, they're able to basically create for themselves a bioprotective system, and using things like terpenes, which also serve as a bioprotectant, this plant has the ability to ward off many of the pathogens that salt-based ag can't.